range of people out there for whom this was just what they did as an extra, but they all had lives behind that, some of which were very obvious, some of which weren't. I mean, Doddie, funnily enough, and I saw him afterwards, he started in the pony club and he was a really good eventer. I think he ran out of height in terms of horses.
Weight.
Right. Not so much weight, but certainly the height, because I think he tripped them up with his feet. So at some stage he was persuaded that rugby was his, he ought to stick with. But so that always gave us a slightly different approach, because he had a slightly different interest level. But John Jeffries went on to chair the Morden Foundation, so it's a very farming-orientated scientific research group, which was equally fascinating because that was his background. But and I find, I suppose, horses is the same thing. You learn about injuries, and you learn how to try and prevent them, but you also learn how to treat them. And talking about injuries is so similar that that's quite often the route that you end up by discussing either treatments or the things that are going on, the type of injuries that people have.
Yeah. Can I ask you about Doddie? We did a theatre tour last year, and actually he came to our Edinburgh show, and the reason I mentioned that is that we did 17 or 18 nights. The only standing ovation, certainly wasn't for us, was when we said, ladies and gentlemen, the great Doddie Weir is here tonight, and the whole theatre stood. His legacy will live on, but I'm just interested in how you were touched by it, how inspired you were by it, and what a friend he was.
Well, the awful thing was that I knew about motor neuron long before that, and I'd had a friend who's probably one of the longest surviving people with MND. And so for him to get it, it just, you think, oh, it is indiscriminate and unreasonable. But the way he responded to that, and I have to say his whole family had been absolutely amazing. And his wife is, is going to continue with that.
Yes.
But I think he has set the standard for others, that, what it can do. And the fact that his diagnosis and, MND as a disease, the average survival rate is still only 18 months. Yeah. So, for him to have moved the bar conspicuously to the right in that sense was quite extraordinary. And Kevin and
Rob
have done a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And you come from sort of league country, but the league teams were fundamentally important to the sort of social fabric, weren't they?
Yeah, for sure. And obviously I went to a grammar school, so that's why I played rugby union. But to grow up, and I always say this about rugby league players, they're infectious. Their energy levels. Yeah. You think of anyone, you think of Andy Farrell, Kev Sinfield,
Sean Edwards.
Betsy, Sean Edwards. Whereas rugby players are famous for sappuccinos and always pointing out the bad things, making jokes about it. Everything else.
Right, yeah. Character assassination. I don't know why I bother. Don't get any out of it.
The rugby league guys are all about get off the floor, let's go again. It's all about picking you up, picking the energy up. And I don't know whether that's is mainly where it's from up north, because people are jolly up north.
And the clubs were the social centres, weren't they, as well, because they were part of that. They didn't have community centres, they had league club centres.
And it was more of a place to go hang out. I mean, we've just done something with Jason Robinson and his the Hunslet Club, and that was just where everyone could go and hang out and not get in trouble. So that's why they all went there, and it was a multi-sport facility that he's trying to now raise more funds to allow more people to go in, because it does change people's lives. It gives them an outlet, keeps them off street corners, keeps them away from doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and that
it's a sense of belonging and a sense of family, isn't it? That's
and I think clubs in both sports have learnt to use their stadiums more wisely. Trevor Hemming's he has a local clinic in his, because it's easy to go, they know how to find it, and a lot of other situations. Newcastle they built a new stand, and that had a computer sessions for youngsters who weren't, dropped out of school. So they all learnt together. That's the best way to do it. Yeah. So using your facilities in a slightly different way, way more sort of society facing than they had been in the past. And I think that, making sure that you use that extraordinary capacity that particularly team sports has in engendering interest and enthusiasm, is to then use the spaces that you have slightly more sort of imaginatively.
Well, actually, because I'm relatively new, obviously, to take over sort of patronage of both union and league, and it's been really interesting for me learning about the differences and the sense of community and inclusion. I think the league brings to its communities, I think, is really extraordinary and one to be celebrated, I think, not just only in the rugby world, but across lots of different sports and a lot of community setups.
And that was the big complaint, wasn't it, when they shrank the league? Because they would lose so much of those.
Yeah.
I actually watch more league than union these days. Obviously on a rugby union podcast, I obviously do a watch.
Anyone who watches this podcast knows that.
Yeah. With the Red Roses,
why are you here again?
I honestly don't know. I don't know sometimes. Do you know what? It was I had a wonderful cup of tea. And I've taken a bit of silver.
They've learned to screw everything down.
They knew you were coming.
England are obviously hosting the World Cup in 2025 for the Women's World Cup. I mean, just how excited are you about that, and obviously the opportunity for the Red Roses to hopefully win another one?
No, it's really good. And, the last, sort of World Cup and then sort of nearly getting there, to see some losing in the final. It's, they've done so well. They've been so successful. So I think they've got a really good track record to go into then sort of the next World Cup. And also I think with the football as well, I think it's sort of really energised women's sports across the board. The numbers of spectators now going to watch these games and women play at the elite level is fantastic.
60,000 it's really France game.
And more this year,
but it's also the difference in the actual audience. If you go to a Six Nations game, it's a specific sort of mainly male, mainly of a certain age.
Mainly in the barber,
mainly in the bar, and has a prawn sandwich. But when you go to watch the women's game, it's families, it's kids, it's everything you need for the sport to grow.
It was the most positive. I went and did watched England versus Ireland at Welford Road, and it was the most positive sporting environment. Can do. And now, having had a daughter, I think what I love about the fact that women's sport is now on the map on everything, with cricket as well, how well they're doing, is now there are aspirational heroes to look for.
Yes,
people always ask, when you go to rugby dinner, who is your favourite player, who is your inspiration? It's very clear and very linear often in men's sport. I think for women now, there are some real heroes,
You're right, because actually someone was saying to me, who are your sort of sporting heroes growing up? And, the likes of Sally Gunnell or Steffi Graf, for example, they're individual sports. And actually having, for the young girls now, having, sporting heroes, female sporting heroes that are part of that team environment, I think it's going to be, fantastic for girls' sport in general.
Fantastic.
Working on that basis, Dame Mary Peters.
Yes.
Her impact in Northern Ireland, absolutely huge. Absolutely huge.
I remember going to the Lions tour in 2005.
I love that.
It's fantastic. Lions games, actually, for uni, we did
watch the Lions. I love the Lions, and I would love to have been there for the 1997 Lions tour. That one I feel I really missed out on. If that was like an ultimate kind of go back and watch, I'd love to be there for that.
That's what made everyone fall in love even more with the Lions, because it was with proper video tour, wasn't it? That kind of.
But it was the first, wasn't it? The first professional era time. So everyone was like, "Is it going to work?"
Yes.
And it was such a big shift. And of course now, because the game's gone on so much professionally, it is such a challenge now to go down there and win anything with the Lions. That I just find the tactics, it's all the things we just talked about on steroids, effectively, because you're putting all that together in a short space of time to beat some of the best teams in the world. And I find that fascinating.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm very conscious of time. So can I just finish with a quick hopes for your team at the Rugby World Cup, and any of you can start as you see fit. Should we start with the High of Scotland, who carry enormous hopes into Rugby World Cup 2023?
I just said to you that optimism is not my strength.
I'm just fanning the flames of optimism for them.
No, I think getting out of that pool would be a huge achievement. Anything after that might be.
I think in Scotland, the schedule suits you to get out.
Shush.
Stop it.
Be optimistically negative. That's it. It may or may not go well. They're very happy about it. Just as long as everyone takes part, makes it home safe.
I'm hoping, because look, I've said for a few years now that Scotland won the only teams I buy a ticket to go watch, because I think, the way that Finn Russell can play, but I think he can cause some problems. And you've got the hardest game at the first game and the fourth game. So you're set up to try and take one of those. So
I don't want positivity. What about Wales? Is there a message for Warren Gallagher's men?
So I was reminding myself that Wales were in the semi-final in the last World Cup.
They were.
And 4 years, you think it's not long, it's a long time in rugby.
Should have won that
I know.
Yes.
And actually, that was,
Yes, that's true.
it was the South African one, wasn't it? Because they went on then to play England.
But
And
they were out.
it was brutal, yeah. And it was, when you lose so close and you think you're on the upper hand, I find it's the hope that kills my sport. Like, you think to yourself, this is it, you're going to do it, and then just to come down from that. But I think, it's been a bit of a rebuilding phase. It's not been easy. I think, everyone knows that about where Welsh rugby is. Warren is a steady pair of hands. He's done a great job for many years now. And the hope is he can start bringing in some new talent, young players. Got 2 young guys, effectively captain and co-captain now for Wales. So I'm quietly optimistic. It's always good you have a slightly less good build-up. And that means hopefully you get out of the way and you do better in the tournament. Yeah, it's a big first game. And Australia is going to be, one of the toughest groups toughest games in the group. But Fiji, as we well know from beating England a few weeks ago, is going to be just as tough. So
too happy.
It's going to be. I think it shakes things up, and it's important that everyone's on their A game. So I'm excited.
And you're going to be there at the England-Argentina game.
Yes, and my hope is that one can be a strong start, because I think building confidence up at the beginning of the tournament, I think would be really
win
really
that
great.
one. Win that one. We're through the group.
On we go.
Pretty much.
It will just build confidence and momentum, exactly.
And your fan base too.
Yes. We're actually on a cruise ship in Marseille, if you get bored.
Oh, are you?
4,000 rugby fans. If you fancy a drink on top deck.
I'm in Bordeaux.
Oh, are you? Yes, of course you are. You're very welcome.
I'm hoping there's a chance to go and explore some wine.
I'm DJing, so the game's on.
4,000 leave Bordeaux.
Very good. Not in Bordeaux.
We are doing 4 days on a cruise boat, a cruise ship. Someone said a ferry, though. It's definitely a cruise ship. And then we're back and forth a bit, and then we're going back on the cruise, and then we're there from the
4,000 rugby fans and us on a cruise ship.
Oh my goodness.
I'm DJing, we're doing live shows.
Are you the anchor?
I might be. I might be you.
But it might be thrown off the side.
It's been an absolute privilege. Thank you so much. Enjoy the tournament wherever you're going, and thank you so much for sitting down with us today.
Thank you
Good luck
guys.
with the next stage.